What's up everyone? Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be going a little bit in depth with my PC. So I've got the motherboard in, I've got the processor in. If you watch my previous videos you know that I've recently changed to a Z170 based PC running the new 6700K i7 processor, but I'm going to go in depth. I'm going to show you inside the case what I've got, what hard drive I've got, solid state drives, things like that, and I'm also going to show you 2 or 3 gaming benchmarks just to show you guys what sort of performance I'm getting and basically the system that I'm using for these videos. Now all these benchmarks will be done at 1440p because that's the resolution of my monitor. The monitor I've got is a PG279Q and it supports 2560 by 1440 at 165 Hz. It's an IPS panel. Now the mouse and keyboard I've got, both Corsair gaming. It's a K70 keyboard with red cherry MX switches, and also I've got the M65 Corsair mouse. And my gamepad's just a basic wired Xbox 360 gamepad, which is, it's old, it's dusty, it's getting on a bit. I don't really use it that much now, but the odd driving game, Need for Speed, Dirt Rally, I use it quite a bit for them, but it's a trusty old little thing. It's been with me a while, so I think I'll be keeping that. So that's basically what I've got on my desk. It's what I game on, the monitor, keyboard. I'm going to move the camera now, give you a closer look of the tower itself. So as you can see, my PC is sat a little bit lower than the desk height. It is sat on top of this IKEA side table, shall I call it. I can't remember the exact name, but it was about £8. It was really cheap, really convenient, and as you can see it hides my surround sound subwoofer. Now you can see here the case I've got is the Corsair 780T in black. This is a high airflow case. You've got enough room for 320mm fans on the front, 2 fans on the bottom and 3 fans up the top, and obviously your single fan on the back. So it's a really good case. It's full tower, so it's really good for space, airflow. You can cram everything in there, and it was a pretty good upgrade for me. The previous case I had was a Z11 from Zalman, so it was a pretty big jump up in cases. Expensive, I think it was about 150 quid at the time when I got it, but yeah, it's been decent. It still looks pretty cool, and yeah, I love the case. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crack the side panel off and I'm going to show you what I've got inside the case. Okay, so I've took the front dust filter off the case. As you can see, hiding there I've got 2 AF140 Corsair Quiet Edition fans. That's obviously drawn air into the case. And to help them, I've got another 2 quiet fans on the bottom, again from Corsair. These are the 120mm fans, these ones. Obviously, these are controlled from the motherboard, so as soon as inside the case warms up, these will obviously speed up, but I've got them on a pretty slow setting at the minute. I think they're all the way down to about 40% spin. So also at the back of the case I've got another intake, so there's a lot of positive air pressure coming into this case. That's obviously another 140mm Quiet Edition fan. And then up top on the cooler I've got 2 SP 120mm fans in a push configuration, and then up on the roof of the case I've got another 2 making up the push-pull configuration. These are SP again 120s. Now just try and get the zoom working on there. Sorry, the focus. basically what this is a 0.09 amp fan. So to get push-pull on this cooler, I've had to just zoom in. Come on, focus, focus, focus. So what I've had to do is on the CPU fan and the CPU optional fan headers, I've had to get splitters, which is an absolute nightmare for cable management. As you can see, it's non-existent. But what this means is the headers kick out 1 amps, so I'm using barely, not even a quarter of the amps for that header, which is how I'm running push-pull on the new H100i V2. As you can see, the liquid hose is coming down, and there's the coolant block. So as you can see, there's plenty of positive air pressure inside the case, all these fans bringing in air, and then obviously the top radiator is going to be the only outlet. Now the reason why I've got this is because even though with all the dust filters and things like that, it's an absolute dust magnet, this case. Now on the rear of the fan, I've recently just spun that round to bring more cold air into the case. So in the next few days I will be going out and getting a little filter that will obviously connect, it will clip on, either clip on or mount on the front of that fan, bringing whatever air is coming in. So the reason why I've got that bringing cold air in, and obviously feeding cold air onto the cooler above, is because what I've found is the 6700K is an absolute pig to keep cool. So it's overclocked to 4.4 gigahertz at about 1.23 volts, and temperatures wise it gets to about 59 degrees Celsius with this cooler and push pull. So yeah, the cooler's pretty good, does its job, but if I go any higher than that, if I up the voltage, up the multiplier on the CPU, I've seen temperatures of 95 degrees Celsius, which is not a place where I want to be. Moving on, you can see the 4 sticks of DDR4 RAM. This is 64 gigabytes altogether, and it's 2800 megahertz, which is a pretty strong package. It's maxed out the amount of RAM I can get for this motherboard, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Now as far as storage goes, my primary drive is an old drive now. It's a OCZ Agility 3 240 gigabyte SSD. Then for my games underneath that, I've got a 512 gigabytes SSD. That is a Crucial, I think it's a MX200. And then below that I've obviously got a 3 terabyte red Western digital drive for all my storage, things like that. When I'm doing a bit of editing, it's where I keep my videos and I'm cutting them up and things like that. So yeah, it's not fantastic, but it's everything I need. And for my graphics cards, I've got 2 GTX 980s Strix editions running in SLI. I've also got the little upgraded SLI bridge from Republic of Gamers, as you can see there. And these are overclocked from the factory, but I've added a little bit more, and in games I see over 1400 MHz on the GPU core. So pretty powerful, pretty good at 1440p, as I'll show you later on in this video. But yeah, decent little graphics setup. A lot of money, a lot of overtime at work to afford them, but as anything, hobbies are expensive. And then down in the bottom of the case, I've got the AX860i as my power supply, running just the standard cables that it comes with. And yeah, that's what's in the case. Now let's move on and have a look at some benchmarks. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick view of CPU Z and GPU Z, show you the speeds I'm getting on processor, the voltage, and also the speed of my graphics cards. Then we'll jump straight in, play some games, see what the frames per second I get, and yeah, move the camera again. Okay, so as you can see on the left hand side, my 6700K is running at 1.224 volts, and it's hitting a speed of 4.4 gigahertz. And on the right hand side you can see my boost clock of the GPU is 1400 megahertz. So just a quick view. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the benchmark and we're going to see what score I get with these. Okay, so the first benchmark I'm going to look at is Heaven. Now this is a free benchmark you can download. What we're going to do is we're going to do DirectX 11, quality at Ultra, tessellation extreme, 8x8A, full screen, 2560 by 1440. So I'll run that. Top left hand corner I've got all the readouts for the frames per second, CPU temperatures, GPU temperatures. As you can see, everything's warming up. So I'm going to hit the benchmark and I'll let that run. Straight away, looking at 59 frames per second. Remember, this is 8x8A at 1440p. So there we go, up to 80, 84. Temperatures, GPU 1, 69, GPU 2, both GPUs are 69 degrees Celsius. And CPUs 60 degrees Celsius, 29% load. Obviously it's sucking in the air of the GPUs, so that's going to have an effect on the temperature of the CPU. Still within safe zones though, so pretty happy with that. As you can hear, the fans on the two strixes are starting to spin up. It's slightly louder. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of the benchmark now with Heaven, and as you can see, my hottest graphics card is now 78 degrees Celsius. So the massive overclock that this has got is really taking a toll on the temperatures. Now the scores: average frames per second 74.6, score 1880, minimum 32.4, and the maximum just under 140 frames. Now as you can hear by the fans, I don't actually game with this overclock. This overclock creates a lot of heat, and as you can imagine with two graphics cards, it's the problems of the whole system. I'm just maxing it out for this video just to show you what I can get. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on, and I'm going to close that. Okay, so next benchmark we are going to do Firestrike Extreme, which is the 1440p one. I'm not going to include the demo, I'm just going to hit run and we're going to see what happens. Okay, so for the next benchmark I'm going to hit Firestrike Extreme, which is the 1440p version of good old Firestrike. So we're going to let this run, watch the first graphics test, and yeah, see what frames we're getting. So straight away we're hovering around about 67 frames per second, dropping to about 52. Pretty decent performance for Firestrike at 1440p. Obviously the GTX 980 is not ideal for 4K, but two of them should handle 1440 pretty decently, and maybe some games at 4K, but I think these two cards are the sweet spot for 1440. So the second graphics test, it's a little bit more strenuous, this one I think. So we'll see what we get on this one. So all the way down to 27.8 frames. Just under 2 gigabytes of the VRAM being used. Still looking pretty smooth on my G-Sync monitor, but yeah, 45 frames per second. 32, 31. Temperatures are rising up, I can hear the fans kicking in again. Okay, so the first game we're going to play, some Battlefront. I'll just show you the graphics settings. So we've got 2560 by 1440, 165 Hz, film grain 100%, resolution scale 100%, then everything is on Ultra and AA is set to TAA. So we'll jump into a game. So we're jumping into Walker Assault. Now on the top left hand corner, I don't think it's ideal to be seen on this video, but yeah, we see the frames per second, temperatures, GPU speeds, things like that. So now, as you can see, the GPUs have gone down to what I game at. So this is going to be true to form of my gaming experience. So 1316 megahertz is what the graphics cards are running now.
You need those updates online.
I'd just like to remind you, I'm not a professional at this game. So we'll see what, as you can see, dead straight away. We're getting about 85 frames per second there. Oh, let's try and kill someone. Who's down there? Who's lurking down there? No one? Tell you what, I haven't even seen the walker yet, so God knows where that is. Someone down there. Wow, first kill. Oh, take cover, take cover. Damn. Oh, that fade is there. Ah, he's got me. So as you can see, I'm useless at this, but getting above 80 frames is pretty decent. Ah, I've killed him. Ah, nearly. So I'll just remind you of gaming at 1440p. There's the walkers. Bad guys are near. So there you have it. There's Battlefront, around about 80 frames per second, 1440p, everything maxed out. So I'm going to shut that down. Okay, so the next game is Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, DirectX 12 has switched off on this because DirectX 12, for some reason, Tomb Raider is not very well optimized for it, so you get worse performance than DX11. Full screen on, again 2560 by 1440, 165 Hz. Now anti-aliasing is FXAA. The graphics is, the preset I've used is very high, so even though shadow quality and things like that can go higher, I've used basically the settings that it selects for the very high preset. So we'll jump in, we'll hit the benchmark and we'll see what happens. Okay, so that's straight away 110 frames per second. Dropping down to about 87 there, I see. More or less maxed out the VRAM, as you can see, it's just over 4,000 megabytes. Obviously the VRAM on this is 4096 megabytes. It's a 4 gigabyte card. Temperatures, everything's in the 70s, again the higher end of what you want to game at, but yeah. Beautiful game this, as you can see, nice little waterfalls. Around about 70 frames per second on this one. So dropping down to 60, 62, 61 frames. All the foliage is out now on this one, so there's a lot of textures, a lot of rocks, things showing up. And we should see now, overall score is 79.6 frames per second. So it's pretty decent, and again you can hear the fans revving up. So what I'll do is I'll come out of that, we'll jump into the next one. Okay, so we're now into GTA 5. Hit the settings. So DirectX 11, 2560 by 1440, 165 Hz. On this I've got MSAA set at ×2, and then everything is at the highest setting. Again, water MSAA ×2, but everything else is ultra high, ultra. Soft shadows is NVIDIA PCSS. So yeah, we'll run the benchmark and we'll see what this one does. So again, this is high settings, 1440p. Let's see how it does. Okay, so straight away we have got 60, 62, 70 frames per second, dropping down to 54 I think I see. On about 51 frames per second, 50, 49, 46, 45, so it's dropping down quite a bit. But again, these are pretty high settings of 1440p, which is still a stressful game for two GTX 980s. So I'd have to say this is averaging around about the 60 frames per second mark. It'll be very enjoyable playing this on PC. especially with the G-Sync. Obviously G-Sync goes all the way down to 30 frames per second, so it's pretty smooth, looks nice. It's a good looking game this, still, even without mods and things like that. This is obviously the original game that I've got, no mods whatsoever on mine, and it's pretty enjoyable. Again, we're looking at about 50, around about the 50 frames per second mark on this. I think what we'll do is we'll exit this. So for the final benchmark, we're going to play some Dirt Rally. Now, just have a look at the graphic settings. So 2560 by 1440, 2x MSAA, 165 Hz, VSync is on. And then all the options is maxed out, ultra high on, absolute maximum, as you can see. So let's have a quick event. Okay, so we'll jump into this, we'll have a quick event and we'll see what frames per second we are getting. So straight away it's up and above 133 frames per second. 125 frames per second.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. 200 past junction.
There you have it. Hovering about 140 frames per second there. Pretty decent frames, decent drive by me as well, I have to admit. So, okay, so there you have it. Benchmark my gaming rig, pretty happy with it, but future upgrades, I think the next thing I'm going to be doing is M.2 drive. My primary SSD is about 5-year-old now, so it's getting on a little bit, but I will use that in a laptop that I've got lying about here, so it won't be consigned to the graveyard yet. Graphics performance, pretty decent for 1440p. Do I need an upgrade yet to the 1080? Nah, I don't think so. Maybe I might have a look at a TI version or the next Titan or something like that. So to go back to a single GPU setup, because one thing I am going to concentrate from now on is the heat in my case. So I want to thank you for watching. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down, but leave a comment in the description and tell me why you didn't like it. So I want to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.